What's up, guys? Welcome once again to the DC show. It's your boy T McNeil. Big shout out to everyone for supporting the channel. It's greatly appreciated. And as always, look forward to providing you guys with the absolute best content possible. So guys, I don't know if you heard the story or not, but the Atari system is actually supposedly making a comeback here in 2018. And basically it was called the Atari box, but now they are calling it officially the Atari VCS. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get to that story. So Atari reveals hardware plans with the Atari VCS at the GDC. Goes on to say that for a few months now that we've known that historically important but currently belligerent video game company Atari has been planning some kind of return to the hardware space. But just how ambitious this Atari box would be and what it could even do has remained a mystery, even as more details have continued to trickle out. At GDC, we finally got to check out the officially named Atari VCS video computer system. And while we're still not quite sure we know everything about what this console is all about, the picture is at least this much clear. Alright, goes on to say, guys, that Atari's vagueness surrounding the VCS, named after the classic machine that became the 2600 back in the day, is by design. Atari is keenly aware of the skepticism fans have been going in and are trying not to disappoint by oversharing or having to cancel announcement plans. Alright, so Michael Arts, who's the COO of Atari's hardware division, Atari Connect, compared it to NASA launch, albeit without less possibility for death. Okay, but here are some details we can share. The Atari VCS is a computer for the living room. You can stream media and play games and do all the stuff you expect a streaming media device to do. But it's not powered by mobile architecture like these Android set-top boxes. It uses AMD chips and runs on Linux. Atari wants users to customize the device and intentionally went with a open source operating system. It's called back to tinker with Atari hardware of old. But there is also a friendlier front end for families who don't want to mess with that stuff. Accessibility is something Atari hopes will give VCS an edge over something like Valve's Steam machines. Alright, the Atari brand itself is also pretty strong way to stand out. Regardless if you paid attention to the company's recent troubles, Atari will always be a hugely important part of the history of video games. There's a reason we are stoked to see the logo of Blade Runner 2049. The VCS leverages that retro niche with modern conveniences. The box itself looks like a futuristic take of the old school 2600, complete with black ridges and wood paneling. You can navigate menus and play classic games using a slick revamped version of the classic Atari joystick with a circle that lights up. But the big question for gamers surrounding the VCS is whether or not this is meant to compete with modern consoles. Like a computer, the VCS has all the ports you want, including expandable US memory, SD card slots, and an Ethernet jack. It also comes with a traditional controller along with the joystick. Now, Art said that the power of the machine is closer to that of a Nintendo Switch than a actual PS4. Along with developing first-party games in-house, Atari has been reaching out to other developers for support, including lots of indie folks. Okay, guys. Now, here's the thing. It says here, guys, that however, we still can't tell you a single game definitely coming out on Atari VCS, although there may be news at this year's E3. We also can't tell you when it's coming out, although there should be news about pre-orders next month in April. Pretty much the only thing that we can tell you is that it connects with other Atari hardware like the hat with speakers in it. Lastly, so the Atari VCS remains a bit of a question mark, but it is now more apparent than ever that Atari really is about to release a contemporary new video game hardware, and that's pretty cool. Alright guys, so it doesn't say it in this particular article, but I would like to mention, guys, the fact that this system is supposed to be roughly around $200 to $300. All right. What's up, guys? So, like I said, the console's supposed to be currently around, looks like about between $250 to $300. So, my question is this console something that you would even consider purchasing, and would you even consider spending anywhere between $250 to $300 for a basically 40-year-old console? Me personally, I don't see the need for it, to be honest with you guys. I like the idea, of bringing retro consoles back, but I think this is where Atari has really made a huge mistake, man, because, we're talking about supply and demand here, okay? This is not a console, to me, that a lot of people are going to be up in arms about. They're not going to be tearing down store shelves to try to, pick up a console, man. I mean, I just don't see it, especially something that was released, back in 1970s, so at the time with the Atari 2600, I think it was a modern leap, at that point in time, and we look at that now and it was just, very plain, very simplistic. But like I said, back in those days, I mean, that was basically considered a step forward in technology, okay? So this thing having an AMD processor and Radeon graphics and a Linux-based operating system, I mean, what it sounds like to me, guys, is just another basic computer, okay? I mean, my laptop right here has an AMD processor. It has a graphics card, and I mean, most people's laptops do. Okay, so what you're telling me is that basically you're buying a computer. You're buying a laptop that can play video games. I mean, that's not really impressive to me. And like the article said, it's not on par with a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One X. I mean, the graphics are nowhere near that. Like they said, they're comparing it to basically a Nintendo Switch. Okay, so for me, guys, if I was going to spend $250 to $300, I'd rather just give me a Nintendo Switch. Okay, not an old school Atari. And Nintendo has already went down their road with the NES Classic and now the Super NES Classic, and those systems weren't roughly nowhere near $200-300. But of course, those two consoles, those remakes of those two consoles were basically emulators. Okay, they're not the real thing. Okay, the emulators within a box, and they have a couple of modern day features like the HDMI cord, and some of them I think may have wireless charging. I'm not sure, but again, it's just a box with a chip, and that's pretty much it. And that's pretty much what you're getting with the Atari. It's the same thing all over again. You're just getting a box with a graphics card and a chip that can go online and play games. Again, the same thing that your laptop can do. But it's not $200 to $300 worth. They should have took a page out of Nintendo and should have priced this thing at anywhere between $50 to maybe $80. I mean, maybe even $100 probably would have been a little bit more reasonable, instead of trying to bust somebody's head open with $300. If you're going to do that, guys, you might as well go ahead on and get you an Xbox One X, or go ahead and get you a PlayStation 4 Pro. I think you're better off with those two choices, okay? But it's an interesting story, man, and I had no idea that Atari was even trying to make a comeback. It's going to be interesting to see, again, with the supply and demand, how many people are going to be wanting this thing, man, and how many folks also are going to be willing to drop that kind of money, which I think is a lot of money, man. Let's be honest. you know, for something that obviously they have modernized it to an extent, but keep in mind, it's still a retro console, and I don't think it's worth that kind of money. But you guys may feel differently, alright? So I appreciate you guys listening. Do me a favor, make sure that you give a brother a like for this video. It will definitely be appreciated. Also, guys, if you enjoy this type of content, you'd like to hear and see more of it, please make sure that you smack that subscribe button, alright? So don't forget to sound off, guys, down below in the comment section, alright? So, this is T. McNeil from the DC Show. I will catch you guys in the very next video, man, alright?